Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Gachiakuta Season 1, Episode 14. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, new intro and new outro. Obviously, come on, Hugs went so hard, so it's probably going to take a while to kind of adjust. Knew it was going to be an eventuality, but still. But what kind of threw me for a loop was I didn't notice until obviously the credits of the song. I was like, oh, Maury Calliope, and I was like, right, that does sound familiar. That I think because of my recommended on YouTube, because there's season trailers coming up about the second core of the season, the back half of the season. So I was seeing some stuff. I think I saw something. I don't know if Maury recently commented on it. Maybe she could say something now publicly now that. Or maybe that was from a while ago. I don't know what it is, but I saw something in relation to Gachiakuta, and it just completely slipped my mind until I saw her name again. I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. But also the outro is really nice song too. Like I said, it's just going to take a few listens to get adjusted to it. But the outro and the intro are really how they're stylized, especially the outro. It's so staticky and trippy, especially the cut between when I like that aesthetic of when you take pieces of someone's face and combine it with another person. So it's Rudo and the leader of the Raiders body faces put together. Obviously there's a deeper symbology there, that there's some deeper parallel. I mean, they both have vital instruments from the series, so there's something there. But either way, something else I noticed, I always kept being oh, there's something about Gachiakuta I couldn't place the parallels. I'm pretty sure I made reference to Okage, the Shadow King, because I think I've referenced something else fairly recently as kind of having a similar parallel as well. But either way, that it finally struck me. Something about this opening finally struck me, and realizing the character designs and the graffiti, it finally clicked. I was like, oh yeah, the thing that it kind of reminds me of is The World Ends With You, if you're familiar with that video game. I've seen someone play some of it, so I know some of the story, but obviously I know it's some of its characters and its aesthetic. My main direct interaction with that series is through Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, but that's what immediately reminded me. It's right, The World Ends With You. There's a lot of parallels between this world's some of the aesthetic, especially with some of the OST and the graffiti and all that really gives off The World Ends With You vibes. I'm surprised I never saw that immediately. Sorry, I'm going off on these massive tangents ahead of time, but I wanted to kind of throw that out there early on just so I don't end up forgetting. Either way, now they're on their way back, heading back to base, and I love Engine's do you know why I'm driving? Because if anyone else drives, we all have a tendency to fall asleep. So it's I guess he's a little more flippant with how he drives. So it's right, we'll bump and run into stuff, and so that it might keep us awake. But it's yeah, Gris is the one that's the most dangerous behind the wheel, because I guess it's so steady and he's the way he is that I guess he kind of keeps a smooth ride, and it's yeah, we'll go right off a cliff. It's just Jesus Christ, dude. That's kind of great, because you even see Engine kind of squinting his eyes, almost he's about to doze off too. So it's that's a deadly situation. But also the squad's got to heal up from the tussle, because Tempsey's ropes still left marks, so the others are still banged up from that. Yeah, Rimlin's thing protecting them, but it was only from the lethal stuff. It's not their other wounds healed either, so they have to drop by good old Alice, which we find out. I think I came across a short kind of implying oh, she used to be very different or something like that. I think I saw something saying oh, did she used to be beautiful or something like that, but we saw a picture of what she looked like, because she's the one who first discovered how to deal with pollution in the body. And it's it seems also the reason why she yells and shouts is an after product of that. I'd assume the foremost conversation would be about, well, she no longer has her hair, but that I don't know if that's a byproduct of. It's interesting because they're making it sound like the shouting is a byproduct. I don't know if that's maybe her hearing was damaged, or maybe it's just it does something to her vocal cords or something where she just has to yell. But then we get the twist where it's oh, because Rudo heard her last name is oh. I was why is that name struck a chord with you? It's because it's August, and his sister. It's like, because she just referenced, Alice was just like, oh, my grandkids stopped by. And at first I was like, is she referring to the cleaners, like Engine and them? Because she seems like a kooky lady, but Engine really likes her, thinks she's awesome because of what she's done in the past. It's like, right, we wouldn't have any like medical curing for like pollution if it wasn't for her putting herself out there. Like, I'm also curious like, are any of the other people in that picture with her still alive or not? But yeah, and it also makes sense why August is as loud as he is. It's like, oh, you took after your grandma in that way. And then I guess it makes me wonder, it's like, the fact that Aisha is as quiet as she is, that she's so soft-spoken, I wonder, is that just because of some other contrast, personality-wise, between her brother and her grandmother? Or is it because, like, maybe their grandmother used to be quiet, so, like, Aisha is kind of, like, more like how their grandmother used to be, maybe? And obviously, it's like, I love Aisha's, like, soft-spoken, like, yeah, like, she took care of us. And August is like, yeah, because our parents are dead. Like, she's saying this stuff so soft-spoken, and he's just so blunt and loud about it. So, makes a lot of sense. She takes care of everybody, sends them on their way. And there's this recurring thing at the beginning where they were talking about a weather report, because it's like, oh, clouds and stuff. And then because Spear moves, like, a lot of times trash comes falling down, and it's like, yeah, you have to be, it's like the worst kind of hell possible, the worst kind of raining possible, where it's just like, yeah, you want to duck and cover because plenty of people died from shit falling from the sky. You're like, Jesus, that sucks. Especially because it moves all the time. It's like, oh yeah, it moves in a predictable enough manner that you can have, we have a heads up, but also at the same time, it's not an exact thing because it also varies from object to object, like whether or not like the speed it comes down and where it lands. So even with a heads up, you still could end up getting crushed by something. So that in itself, the pollution already was bad enough, but it's like, oh, not only do we have to worry about the pollution, it's like, well, at least as long as you navigate away from like going outside too much, but also like if you navigate not going to any no man's land, which is where the pollution is the worst, you're relatively fine. But now it's like, yeah, like even you could just be out and about perfectly fine and still get crushed by some debris. So it's like at times it was like, yeah, that's why the ground kind of hates Spearites even more. So you're like, all right, well, that's it. And then it's still the conversation about like, well, anyone that would like to bring that up to Spearites, has no chance of crossing the border because they end up dying because of it. So it's like, well, once again, how did the Angels and Rudo manage to get through? And Rudo's like, I don't fully remember, but he's like, I have vague memories, like, but they're fuzzy. And I love how that's depicted. How it's just like super like white and like sketch drawn and like staticky. And it's so interesting how they like depict that too, considering the leader of the Raiders. I don't know if I don't know like whether it's like maybe his like powers as a giver or like his vital instrument relate to like white noise static or something, because he keeps always being associated with TVs. And so that kind of being like the depiction too, it's like maybe there's something there, maybe reading through the white noise is kind of like connected to all this. Like I said, it could just be specific to him, but we also find out that the Raiders HQ is getting attacked by marauders. So I was like, okay, cool. So obviously it's not just the Raiders, there's others out there. And Simio is just kind of like, yeah, you guys, like, I was curious to see if anyone else would kind of step up, and it's just like, nah. And apparently she's the sole like badass looking after the place, because I wonder because the main attackers are the current crew of Engine, Rio, Zonka, and now Rudo. Those are your main attackers. The others are, and everyone else has their roles, and this kind of gets explained to Rudo later, where it's like, I think it's a really fascinating and continued exploration into like how the vital instruments work. It's like the more you put into your vital instrument, the more that comes out of it. So it's just like when I don't know, it's like wanting to bring out the full potential of your vital instrument lends itself to being more of an attack type. But then like those who want to basically always keep their vital instrument prestigious and intact and perfectly good, those are more on the defensive type. So Simu can be offensive, but her abilities are more so relegated to being on the more defensive, counter-attacking type of move. As we saw when she immediately dispensed those marauders single-handed. I mean, when they fired her, I'm like, what are you gonna like? Are you gonna reverse it? And she did. I was thinking like, are you going? I was like, I know your powers are related to your eyes, but it's like right. It's kind of like some Sharingan type of stuff, like base level, strong version of Sharingan, but not like Mangenkyo Sharingan type of shit. But it's like. I was like, are you going to like somehow use your eyes to redirect it? It's like, well, yeah, you just grabbed it and threw it back at him. You're literally dodging bullets and also doing the badass thing of, cool, I'm standing in front of you, my hands behind my back, kicked you, hit you, systematically took you all down. It's like, hey, yo. And because it seems like this is kind of her routine job. And even Rudo was like, if she can fight, then why is she like not an out, like, why is she behind the receptionist desk? It's like, well, because her vital instrument like makes it okay for her to fight people, and obviously it works in that capacity of what it can provide, but that's not usable against Trash Beast. Plus, she always wanted to work behind a desk, but it's like, kind of seems like that's the main reason why she doesn't kind of go out and about. The Trash Beast not being able to kind of kill them and fight them necessarily is secondary. But it is that interesting thing of like, well, there's only one group of people that have kind of had word out there that Rudo is like even a spirit. Like, who would know that information other than the Raider? So they've been slipping that information out there just to see who will attack the cleaners, because it's like, cool, testing their defenses. That way, when the time comes, like, we don't have to sacrifice any of our own. Because it's like, yeah, some of our people might make it out of it okay, but the last thing we want is some of our people captured and or killed. So let's, sacrifice other people, throw them into the lion's den. But also, the rocket launcher, grenade launcher, whatever you want to call it, did not damage the place. And initially, it's like, oh, because you're not allowed to or something. At first, I was like, oh, is this something related to Rimlin? Or maybe home dude who had that vital instrument. We didn't really get to know him. I'm blanking on his name now, but the guy that had it before Rimlin, I was like, did he put something up to protect this place? Just kind of like how Graffiti City, Graffiti Town, you can't go in without permission. If you have like negative like intentions, you can't come in. I wonder if it was something like that, but it's like, no, one of the defenders is a shut-in and they keep people out. It's like, oh, are we getting attacked again? And he's hiding under the cover. There's a guy in Tower of God. I'm blanking on his name. He sleeps all the time. His like head and part of his torso is like always exposed, but he's always wrapped up in a blanket. It kind of reminds me of that. And if I remember correctly, there's like a Princess of Jihad that's like that too in Tower of God. Well, she stays locked up in a room all day, but I don't think she's like wrapped up in a cover like that. I'm like I said, I might just be conflating those two characters and just immediately thinking they're both like that, but only one of them is. But yeah, that was interesting. We didn't even get to see what he looked like. All we saw was like his eyes underneath it. So, but I was also bringing this up earlier. Who knows how many, because the main attackers are gone. Maybe everyone else there in the facility are like defender related. Like, so like no one else, their power can be outwardly used, but also like this might be like CMU's like main gig outside of just being the receptionist and kind of like the one who kind of studies every newcomer to the cleaners. Like, this might be her other kind of side gig part of her job where it's just like, yeah, every once in a while we get attacked and I have to bust some heads open. So, but I love when we cut to that guy in the bar and he's just like, yeah, this is a good place. He's like, actually, my name's not important. And he's talking about how comfortable the place is, but then it kind of gets ruined when there's like people like the cleaners over there. He's like, oh, the look in their eyes. And he kind of goes one by one. He's like, Engine, then Zonka's eyes, then Ryo's eyes, and then he gets to Rudo. He's like, I've never seen someone with such dark eyes, and he panics and freaks out and runs away. I was like, I thought this guy was going to be important or something. He's just some like NPC who got narrator role for like a few minutes and then immediately took off. I was like, I love that. I should also know, after last week's episode, I needed kind of like, yes, there's seriousness to this, but like I needed a lot more levity after how heavy last episode was. I mean, especially when you think about it, and I didn't think of it at the time of like, oh yeah, that was the end of the first Kuro. It's like, that's a dark and heavy place to leave off the first Kuro, but either way. Rudo's the only one that's kind of stressed, like, yo, am I the only one worried about, like, should we be a little more on edge? But the others are like, nah, man, this is our ritual. After we come back from a job, we eat, you celebrate. You got to enjoy the time off while you can, because it's like, it's only a matter of time before shit hits the fan again, so it's like, the storm before the storm type of situation. So it's like, not even the calm before the storm before the storm. So it's like you gotta like, take this time to quiet while you can and enjoy it. So but then we had Team Child show up, and I love that it's like, was it Gita that's like, hey Rudo. It's like, what? It's like, you don't remember me? And Rudo's like, what? It's like, yeah, I was there when you first showed up. And I love they show the picture of everyone in the background. And it's like, oh, here's Gita. It's like, we didn't interact at all. All I did was see you and you saw me. That's all there was to it. And Gita's so hurt about it. It's like, oh, I can't believe it. But also, Rudo definitely remembers Dear Santa, and I love them looking at each other. And Rudo's like, yo, you're not getting any of my food this time. But then we also meet, was it Bro Santa? He's like, I'm the lead. Well, he's like, I'm more like the supervisor. Says there's other members, but this is like the main squad. So I'm interested to find out what their shtick is. I guess like Dalman and Temsi went back. Because it was only like the support team and our main attackers that were there. Everyone else, I guess, like Damson and Delman, and Tamsi must have went back for Team Child to show up, or at least part of them, which makes you wonder. I wondered, is the rest of Team Child in the cleaner base? And obviously, there's got to be significance behind why, like, we have Team Attackers, Team Defenders, and Team Child. I wonder, is their thing kind of like maybe like acting as like whereas like you could have a support team, like maybe they are support skilled, but maybe they're more like the debuff. Maybe they're meant to like pacify the enemy. Maybe that's where that is. I mean, Dear Santa literally has a pacifier. So I wonder, I mean, I'd assume that's their vital instrument, but who knows? I'm really curious to find out what the whole Team Child thing is. That feels like that's what that's supposed to mean, but maybe there's another layer to it. But that seems like that would be the obvious answer. But Rudo's dealing with Gita just being like, oh, what's your favorite type of kaiju? And it's like, yo, leave me alone. Jesus, give me some damn personal space. And then he goes and sits over there. It's just like, oh, man, they're not worried about it. He's like, oh, you talking about the Raiders? It's like, oh, talking about their new boss and everything, which is like, oh, when did the new guy take over? I wonder, did it correlate timeline-wise with, like, Rudo landing here or something like that? Was it a little beforehand or what? But then he shows Rudo Amo's boots. And then in that moment, he grabs his throat, kind of like, yeah, I'll give you this information for free. I'm the leader of the Raiders. And then Manhole Giver is there, and just in that moment, just like Rudo's always ready to scrap, because I'm sure like seeing him pissed him off even more, because it's like, yo, if you've got those boots, what does it mean you've done to Amo? So knocks his hand away. He gets ready to attack. The others like get up ready to attack too, and they all get sucked into the manhole. Sadly, the support squad gets left behind. And so they land in this place, and Rudo's like straight to business. Everyone's like, yo, Rudo, what's going on? And they stop and they look, and there's the Raiders and Jabber's there too. And then them walking towards each other. I wonder, is it supposed to be almost like a parlay? I only know this term, earlier I was referencing Kingdom Hearts, is only because of Kingdom Hearts 2. It probably came up in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but it's been a while since I've seen any of them. But like, okay, so it is a real term, but it was just used in the pirate sense for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But like, my whole point when I was going on that diatribe, I'm wondering if this is supposed to be a parlay situation, like a meeting of like, okay, no attacking or anything. We sit here and talk, hash out terms, and if we can't come to any mutual agreements, then we can go back to ripping each other's throats out. Or, maybe it's kind of a thing of like, I want what I want, and yo, you want Amo, so I wonder, did Jagger did leave with like a bag? So I'm wondering like, well, I was about to say like Jabber left on his own on foot. That doesn't mean like Manhole person wasn't there to like grab Amo like after her boots were taken. Like maybe Jabber carried back the boots and Amo was taken. Because we see in the intro she's locked up. So I was like, okay, good. Once again, I was just so scared because I was like worried that she died. I mean, granted, she still had her boots taken from her, which is bad. I mean, granted, I'm glad she's still alive, because I was about to say after learning her backstory, it would suck ass if she died and got murdered. That'd suck ass. I mean, hey, you never know what the future holds. She still could end up dying at some point in the story, but for now, she's alive. But it's like obviously the boots mean the world to her because they basically fill the void inside of her. So having them taken from her is just like horrendous and horrible. I mean, anyone would feel that in regards to their vital instrument being taken from them, but especially in her case. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what this confrontation looks like next episode. Is it just going to be a meeting of words, like I said, just exchanging stuff, letting you know the lay of the lands of what the new leader of the maybe give some insight into what the Raiders are after before what they wanted versus what they want now with their new boss. Stuff like that I'm so curious about to see where that all heads, but we'll have to wait and see. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.